You ever have one of those days where you walk home after something, like a sport or an event, and all you can think about is how badly you messed up? Well, that was me today. I had taekwondo practice just 2 hours when I'm recording this video before, and I had probably the worst class I have ever had in over 9 years. I participated in this sport for 9 to 10 years, and this was somehow the worst day ever. I'm not gonna drag on why it was the worst day, but let's just say that I underperformed severely because I was not focusing at all, and because of that, my master, of course, got pretty angry, and I ended up getting pulled aside, and you can guess what happened next. But anyways, the point is not what I screwed up. The point was today was a really historical day because I genuinely, after that whole entire TED Talk punishment, I finished taekwondo, and I went down to my mom's car, and I just started to bawl while talking to my mom. Like, I genuinely started to cry like a 12-year-old. And keep in mind, I haven't cried in over 9 months, which is insane to me. The crying, of course, was one part of a whole lesson that I learned. And I feel like I needed to share this experience today because I learned more in these 3 hours than I learned in 3 years. I'm not even joking. These 3 hours made me learn so much more than I thought it was. Right? I guess the first thing that I realized was when I came back after bawling my eyes out for over like 30 minutes. I think I went back. Of course, I was quite angry and I cursed my master, as any 15-year-old would. But I think the worst part was genuinely because of a lot of stuff that was happening, not only in taekwondo but school in general. Right? I had the strike, of course, which meant that I was self-studying, which is pretty stressful. I also had now this YouTube stuff going on, which I'm also trying to push out, quality content, as well as putting them at like a orderly order, like a good time. And so most of this piled me up at once, and I think taekwondo being like my master yelling at me was like the last breaking point that I ever had. Right? And so it wasn't because I was weak, but because I just genuinely cared about doing stuff good. And that's where I learned the first lesson. For any of you guys watching right now, if you guys, let's say, had a bad day, right? You something bad happened, and you didn't do your chores right. Maybe you failed an exam and something about that, and you start to worry or you start to cry. I want you to know that that is good. That's a good sign because it shows that you actually care. The people that don't care about any of this stuff, like the people, for example, if someone didn't care about taekwondo, why would they cry about their master yelling at them? Or if they get like an F on a test, why would they cry? Right? There is no point because they don't care about it. But because you actually give a crap about what you're doing, it makes you feel a lot more emotionally attached to that problem. Right? So after I showered, I stood there for a while, and when I was showering, right, the water hit me, and I was feeling a lot of different emotions at once. But I think the second lesson, and this was because after I showered, my grandfather gave me a whole TED talk about how one bad day doesn't erase the work that you put in. Right? I think this is very self-explanatory, right? Everyone has heard that if you have a bad day, it doesn't mean it's a bad year or a bad life. But I will say that in this moment that you are feeling grief and you're feeling like horrible, you don't think that your life will get good because your mind has been blocked. Your mind has been blocked by this wooden wall that you can't break because it's like a blockade of feelings that you haven't felt in so long, and you're releasing that. So you're not going to think about anything positive, right? That's for sure. That's what he taught me was we don't always grow in straight lines. We go up and we go down, we then get back up. It's like a stock exchange market, right? Sometimes we'll go up, sometimes we'll go down, sometimes we'll go in a direction that you never thought will happen. And I'm saying all of this now because I know it seems so easy that, oh, I should have gotten this, but it was because you have to apply theory into actual experiment. That's what I like to say, right? Me crying and thinking about why taekwondo was so bad and how I hated the sport was not a good reflection. It was not a good way of coping, right? For example, I did not think about anything good. I did not think about how one day doesn't erase all the work. I didn't even think about anything. I didn't even think about I actually cared about taekwondo. I just thought that today was horrible because everything didn't go to the way that I wanted to. Well, that doesn't mean that life is bad. It just means that at that moment you think it is bad, right? The thing is we only see the good things in people. That's the thing, right? right? You always see people performing, you always compare each other, no matter if it was online or in person. I know for a fact today that I compared myself to a new person. It was a person that joined, I think, only 6 months ago, and I joined 9 years ago. And I saw how she and my master got along really well, and meanwhile, I'm here being the old gen, like 9 years of doing this sport, and he still hates me, right? I was like, what the hell, man? The thing is, you compare all the good parts to people, but you never compare the bad parts. That's the one thing I like to think it's quite funny, is we never think anything bad about that person. If they show us a good picture, then we think their life is automatically good, which isn't the case. I would also like to say that when someone, if like a teacher or someone is actually flaming you and actually hurting you or actually, yelling at you, that is because they place different expectations on you rather than someone new. That was one thing I had to learn in the course of just these 3 hours, is he placed expectations on me differently than he placed expectations on someone else, because I was old. I knew exactly what he wanted me to do. I knew how to execute. He knew I could have done better, but I didn't do it. And so that's why he got mad at me, right? But for example, a person that just came, they're not going to know what to expect from people. They're not going to know the kicks or anything that they should do, right? And so he places less expectations on you, right? That's why I know, like, I had a huge mood swing. I just want to apologize for that because I think it's quite funny. But, like, honestly, now that I look back, which has only been, like, by the time I'm recording this, only 5 hours before that, what I realized is that, when teachers care about a student, it means that they will put more expectations on you, which you should be happy about it, right? If they don't put expectations on you and they just say, oh, you're so good, then you're not improving, right? Everyone has to go through the worst and the highest and the lowest ever. And so that's what I mean, right? You have to make sure that you still do good, but you have to also know at the back of your mind that they place these expectations on you because they know you can do good. And that's why you can do good, is because they know you have the capability of doing it. So yeah, I did cry, okay? I did fail and I did feel like a lot like I was a piece of garbage, right? But honestly, I'm glad that I did, because you learn a lot more in just those 3 hours than you could learn in 3 years. It also reminded me that I'm human, right? And growth isn't always linear. It's always going to be a non-linear motion. And maybe, if you're watching this, if you're feeling the same way, I just want you to know that, again, I'm still proud of you. You're still trying, you're still here. And you're still taking action rather than yapping. So that's always a good plus. All right? Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.